I'm wondering if it might be a light turnout this week. And I didn't really have all that much on the agenda. If others have things, feel free to add them. Drop the link here for folks. I had a couple of image spec reviews still needed, but that's probably going to need Sajay if we get him. Otherwise, I don't think Tianon already submitted reviews on both of them, so we need another person to review those. Beyond that, I did drop a note in there. Container D had their V2 release, so I figured that might be of interest to people around here. Figured I would just announce that real quick. It's going to take me a while before I start using that one. And then I figured the first agenda item would be mentioning that there's a request. Copy this link over here, folks. There's a request to have a C group repo. So open containers / C group. That would be the content forked off of the run C project. And that's one where I want to hear from the run C maintainers before I make any decision myself. Has anybody else had time to look at this one? Or is this the first for a bunch of people seeing it?
I've tried to follow the thread.
Got a lot of conversations happening in a lot of places.
Yeah, it seems the run C maintainers are split on whether they want to do this or whether they want to try something smaller first before creating a new project. In my opinion, that's a solid way to go, but I am neither on the TOB or run C maintainer, so
Yeah. And from at least my part on the TOB side, I look at it and say, before we make a new project, let's check in with people running the project that we will be pulling this out of, because we shouldn't be overreaching, I would say. And yeah, Rom, I believe it is all Golang code
yeah,
/ library.
it's all code that already exists as part of run C today, but it's used by other libraries. And I think the subtext that's missing from the proposal is that importing run C into other places as a dependency has bad side effects.
I'm guessing they're just pulling in more code than they want to.
Yeah, it makes the dependency tree bigger unnecessarily because the dependency tree of this library specifically is tiny,
Yeah.
but it's code that like Kubernetes needs. So Kubernetes being forced to the specific versions of dependencies that run C is using isn't great.
That's a forced upgrade, right? They're
Yeah,
probably trying to use older versions of something,
maybe.
because it wouldn't downgrade. It would, if Kubernetes was on something newer, it would automatically go to that newer thing.
Right.
It's curious hearing the Kubernetes folks complaining about too many dependencies.
Yeah,
But
but it is understandable, right? Like they're maintaining a large, complex
yeah,
pile.
that they are. Sajay, welcome. I will throw in the HackMD link for you. We've got a couple of image spec reviews still needed, and I think you're a good person to handle that if possible. If you have the time. Thanks for that. Yeah, so from the C group one, like I say, I'll defer to the run C maintainers, so we'll see what they finally come up with. Sounds like at least a handful of them are saying they approve, but some of the others not so much. Some of the others are more silent than anything.
Yeah, I think this is really probably getting here and Alexa on the same page. And once they are, then it's probably fine.
Yeah. The lack of an approval from Akihiro and him being so active in here that has a lot of weight for me. So we'll see where they go.
No.
All right, with that one, the only other thing I threw on the agenda, like I said, not a lot this week, is kind of a continuing discussion of the platform being added to the image manifest. And I think Sajay, you commented on there. Um, yeah, and I see you looking at the UID stuff. Yeah, anytime you have time to look at those, that's awesome. I think we were asking though on the platform field before if we can get some examples, and I think even I saw Sajay, you were asking for that as well. So that's something I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I think a use case is important. Tianan brought this up last week, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Tianan,
Sanjay echoed me on the
John,
PR.
myself. Sorry, Tianan, go ahead.
Sanjay echoed me on the PR, so now I'll take a turn and say my own words to reiterate that we need some like real world use cases here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because when I'm looking through it, the real world use case I come up with, it's either that you're going to have an index at one level or another. It's either going to be an index on the artifact or it's going to be an index on the image that gets you to a platform specific manifest that then you query for the artifact. Either way, you've got an index in there. So, all right, that was everything I had in there. But just as we were moving off the topic, I saw Brian and Sam come in there. So we were chatting a little bit about the proposal for the C group repo and my comment on that. And I think Tianan is there as well as we're kind of delegating right now to what the Run C maintainers say, especially Akihiro and some others over there, to see what they think. But you know, to open up the floor since both of you just joined, if there's any thoughts you have on what's going on with that C group proposal.
I just put my concerns in the email thread about it. But to reiterate for here, mostly just the linked issues are talking about the burden of depending on run C and the burden on the run C maintainers. But if we're just going to shift that to a separate repo in OCI, it's going to be the same people. It's the same burden, perhaps worse because it's got to be generalized and stuff. So, I mean, if folks want to do it, that's great. But it it's it just seems like a weird shift in general to me. But
I don't know. I don't feel like I should speak for Cure, but my understanding from reading the issues, both that were on the Kubernetes side and on the Run C side, is that the primary concern was more about the burden related to like releases of Run C, and moving out to a separate library allows for independence in the release of that library versus the release of Run C itself. And so I think it eases the burden that way was my understanding of what the proposal is. But yeah, again, I don't really have an issue with listening to the Run C maintainers on what they want. Like from my perspective on the TOB, I don't have an issue with the addition of this project as long as there's support from the people that are going to work on it.
Yeah, I'm looking at both the people that would be maintainers and also the people that were maintainers. I want to make sure that if we rip it out of the run C code base, that those maintainers aren't throwing up and saying no in that side as well. So yeah, that was everything we had on the agenda. I think the big next question is we've got a KubeCon next week. I know at least a few people here are going to be, well, I can say one for sure that's going to be there in person. Any agenda items we want to talk about? Do we just want to have an open discussion for 2 hours, or any specific topics? The one that I threw on there was whether we want to talk about some of the distribution spec conformance tests and brainstorm any of the scenarios and structure and whatnot around that. I have been working on it. It kind of pulled off for a little bit so I can work on a few other things for a short bit, but I'll put that back on the front burner here shortly. Otherwise, we can close the Zoom up and you guys can just like have a drinking party there.
I don't know what you mean by drinking party. It's 10:15 a.m. for me, but I guess I have some tea.
It's 2:30 p.m. local time at
Oh
at
my.
the at the at the KubeCon
Oh, you're
event.
talking about at the event. I thought you
Yeah.
meant right now.
Yeah. I don't mean
Tea
to
is
drive
good
anybody to morning
anytime.
drinking yet. Sorry, Sasha.
Yeah, tea is good anytime. I am a tea drinker, so yeah.
As to the KubeCon thing, I don't have any specific agenda items. The only thing was, as long as Tuesday still works for everyone or the majority of people, then that works really well for me, and I'll be there.
2:30 Mountain Standard Time on Tuesday, and I think she's got the room and everything else already booked, so
Yep.
that's a go. And for those that aren't there, we'll have the same Zoom. We'll open up. All right, y'all are being quiet again, and I ran out of topics a lot quicker than normal. Last call for anything, or do folks just want to have some time to get back to being at your desk or snack time or anything else you want to do? Oh, Jory, showing up just before we close up.
Oh no. Okay. Well, oh yay. Then I'm glad to be here. Sorry, I was 15 minutes late. 17 minutes late.
You caught it just by the wire. We were doing the last call here. I did remind them all that we've got KubeCon next week, which also, while I'm thinking of it, means that we don't have a Thursday meeting next week. So for anybody
great.
that has this on the calendar.
Let's make sure that's off then. Brandon, do you want to hang on and we can talk about the election that you were slacking us about too? I just have some queries there.
Sure.
I mean, if everybody else has to go.
I was looking at the message right now from Chris. Yeah, for anybody that wasn't paying attention, we are coming up on the annual TOB election time frame. And this is the one where I think it's all maintainers have a vote in it or something. I think that's the way it goes this time.
Yeah, we usually alternate nominations and votes between the OCI members and the maintainers.
Yeah, and members was last year, so I think this year is maintainers.
Yep.
We even got Michael Brown. Everybody's showing up late just we're getting ready to wrap up the meeting here. Michael, anything you'd like to throw on there? I just dropped the agenda link in case you're looking for anything we want to talk about. Free to throw in one last conversation before we wrap this thing up.
Nope. Sorry, I was a little late.
That's
The
all right.
the image manifest platform, I guess, was we talk about this already.
Chad, I mean, the entire conversation we had this week was that we really want to see some example use cases. So
Okay.
how
Cool.
how much background do you have on it from your side?
I think that was one of my questions. So great.
Yeah. The back and forth on that is there enough of a value add to justify putting an extra field in there on the image manifest when OCI images already have in the config and we've already gotten the index. And so if it's possible to do it with the index, then that would be nice to not have to add it to the image manifest.
Yep.
Yeah, we're starting to drinking games up there in the chat messages now. It's all the more reason for me to copy and paste this into the Zoom into the meme minutes later on. All right. Well, if no one has if no one has anything else, we can go ahead and wrap up. And I guess Jory, you wanted me to stick around for a few minutes with you.
Yeah, I just have more like this. I was just double checking because I hadn't seen anything on our question about whether we could do like a blog post for Run C. And then I saw your post about Container D 2.0 release from Tuesday. There was other stuff going on Tuesday, so I missed that. So if we want to do something social wise, and then just a little handful of miscellaneous things.
Yeah, I don't think we do blog posts on Container D because it's not an OCI project, but they're just so tightly correlated with everything we do. I just like to mention when they're doing things. But yeah, if you haven't heard anything from the Run C maintainers on that one, I think it's just because you asked them to document something.
I mean, I can get our friend GPT to write a little bloggy post or something.
Now you're just asking to upset a bunch of maintainers. Yeah, they're a finicky bunch. They tend to stick to the GitHub, and so sometimes it can be tough to get a hold of them.
GPT does like to write docs, and it's not like the worst way to get started. I'm not gonna like advocate that GPT should actually write all your docs, but I think that it's fine to ask it to help you like with an outline, and then you go rewrite it. I do that a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, for anybody who doesn't want to stick around for TOB stuff, feel free to drop off. I'm gonna ask that Rob and Sam hang around there because they're both on the TOB, and so anything you want to chat about on that, they should probably stick around for a minute for that. So what questions do you have on that, Jory?
Yeah, so I think what I am wanting to, it's Chris offered to in chat to support, Jory's first OCI election process. I think maybe what might be helpful is kind of understanding like the rationale behind because I like to understand the why, the rationale behind like why we do maintainers one time and and then TOB the next time, like what kind of
I think the rationale is just trying to make sure there's half community, half people that are paid members.
Yeah, it's not
okay.
We're not electing maintainers. This is the membership of the TOB itself. So the TOB is 9 seats, and 5 of those seats are nominated and voted by the corporate members of the OCI, and 4 of the seats are community-controlled seats. So those
And this
are
is-
nominated by the maintainers of the various OCI projects and voted on by the maintainers of the OCI projects.
Okay, and that's the version, we're doing the maintainer side this time, not the member side. Okay.
Right. So each of the seats is a 2-year term. So we elected the 5 seats that were the corporate member seats last year, and those individuals, including me, have another year left in our term. And the member seats that are the TOB seats that are controlled by the maintainers are up for re-election now because their term is ending.
Okay. And then you usually run this on it looks like use a Google form process to take nominations and do your, I mean, I can talk with Chris about this too, but that's it. Looking here at Brandon's link, it looks like,
curious.
yeah.
I'll drop in the chat for folks. I just dropped the link in from the last time we did one of these. There's a form that goes out for people to do the nominations, and then there is a voting link that gets sent out to all the different people that need to vote. And the voting is it's a ranked choice website that we go to.
Yeah,
And
CIVS,
then,
the Dorset Internet Voting Service, is what we've historically used for ranked choice voting.
yeah.
So that's after nominations, that's the actual ballot.
And so there are deadlines on each of those. And I think right now we're getting to the point that nominations should be opened up. So we need the form to get published out there. And then once those are all done, I think it looks like the votes are early December, and then the winner's announced in January.
Okay, well, let me see if Chris will give me you share the 2023 nomination. We can at least get that cooking now. Via Google, maybe maybe we'll.
I always thought the form was kind of curious because I didn't know if I was supposed to nominate myself, if I'm supposed to nominate other people, and I didn't know who had nominated who to know if I should be picking people that hadn't been nominated yet, or should I ask them if they want to be nominated? And I'm like making educated guesses there.
I do think when you know, oh, here we go. Okay, so I have, well, it looks like I may have access to this. TOB election. $2023. Okay, I have it. Yeah, I have it actually. Okay, never mind. So cool. So okay, cool, great. Thanks, Chris, for making that very easy. Apparently, I'm sure you did it intentionally. Okay, so I've got the form from 2023 and 2024 actually, and I'm gonna refresh this with and then send it to you guys for a check. Then where do you just normally just post it on GitHub and that's how you notify the community, or do you do blast it out other locations? You know, how do you kind of let the community know that the nominations are open typically?
So I know for sure the GitHub issue, and then we also mention it in our weekly meeting. I don't know if it goes out on the email. I'd have to go back and look at the email archives to see if we send it out on the TOB mailing list, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I would expect us either to send it on the TOB list or the dev list, because we have both of those.
Yeah, since we're in the maintainer one, it wouldn't hurt to include the dev list.
Okay. Anybody we should? So that I was like I realize this is a recorded call, so maybe you don't want to say this out loud, but I do often
If there's
think
if there's anything you want to
think-
say off the record, let me know and I'll jump in and get my
well,
code so I can.
it's more like sometimes you might have someone in mind who would be a great fit for holding, position, or we should encourage to run. But maybe they're on the sidelines, or they don't think that they're qualified, or and sometimes like a gentle nudge to say, hey, you should nominate.
Sometimes we don't tell them, and then like Sajay is just like a surprise, and oh, by the way, you just got not only nominated but won the election.
I hope that worked out for Sajay. We don't typically, I wouldn't typically like encourage surprising people in that way, but it seems like it worked out, so that's good.
Sajay, I saw you coming off mute there. Hopefully it wasn't too painful to get surprise nominated.
That was okay.
Surprise nominated and a surprise elected. Okay. We'll get this updated for y'all, and I'll send it to Sam, Brandon, and Chris. Chris is going to be like busy. Oh, get Greg back here. That's fun. I'd like to work more with Greg.
Because he doesn't have enough to do.
No, he's not busy. Not at all. So yeah. I go, and then I'm assuming y'all would like to open nominations as soon as possible. So just as soon as like the form looks good, we should ship it.
Yeah, people tend to drag their heels getting things submitted, so the sooner you can get that in front of them, better.
Yes, yeah. Well, especially because if we're going to ask them to nominate and then commence voting during the holiday season, I might put it on the calendar too, just put on as a kind of event or notification on the calendar. Is that okay? Like nomination.
I think we've done it in the past. I wouldn't say no.
Okay.
I don't see any reason not to do that. That sounds fine.
Okay.
The only thing is the nomination and the voting is restricted to maintainers, right? So these aren't like fully public. It's not just like open for anyone to nominate. Anyone can be nominated, but the people that can
only are maintainers.
Yeah, it's just maintainers of the OCI projects.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, I forget the form, but I'm guessing it had who the maintainer was that was filling it out, and then the people they're nominating.
So it collects their name, the nominator's name, email address, and company, and then the nominee's name, email, and bio. So it is possible that somebody who is not a maintainer, if they had access to the link, would be able to submit that, but then we would be able to say, oh, well, that person's not a maintainer because
that's where I was going toward, was that the link is going to get published in the GitHub repo, and so it'd be on you to look through there and make sure, oh, this person wasn't a maintainer, we can't take that nomination.
Yeah. Which is fine. We can do that.
But it might not hurt to give a little feedback one way or another to say, hey, we can't take it. If you get a maintainer to submit that might be a good way to get that person in there. Because they might think that they've been nominated and not realize they weren't.
Yeah. If it's a good nominee, then maybe you guys will have multiple choices. Okay. And then I see it last time you had you had 13 responses, and a couple of folks with like repeat nominations. I had a question that is now escaping me. was related to, oh, yes. I think it's often helpful. I mean, the form itself has context for like who is qualified to be on the TOB and like how that is selected and everything. And I think that's great. But I think something that nominees are often looking for is like, okay, well, so I've been nominated, but what does that mean for me? Like, what's the expectation in terms of, you know, do I have to go to a 2-hour meeting every week? Like, what does that look like? Do you have anything like that that we can point people to? Should we make something so that if they're saying, oh, I might be interested in being nominated, what does that mean for me?
I think when I was not on the TOB, I assumed there was a lot more that was going on, and then you realize that we don't do much.
To be on a mailing list.
Yeah.
And then, you know, respond from time to time to issues.
Every once in a while,
questions.
you're asked to vote on something, and that those votes are all out in the public.
Yeah.
We have the option that we can call a meeting, but Sam doesn't like meetings, and I don't think the rest of us do either.
Chris does not
I
like
just
meetings.
don't see the point in calling them unnecessarily, and we haven't had a lot of things to discuss. So
yeah.
what we have, we've been able to do over email or GitHub issues. So
how do you because the only upcoming vote that I'm aware of, Sam, would be on to approve your budget such that it is for 2025. Do you guys usually just do that over email?
I don't think the TOB normally gets to approve the budget. That's part of the trademark board.
Oh, the TM board does that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And the TM board, I think, does have to meet once a year. So I need to talk to, I need to talk to Chris about that. Okay.
I feel like we're happy to be informed about that, but I don't think we have voting power over it.
I mean, the one thing I do ask the groups that are not to approving the budget, but is more like, is there anything that you would ask for in your budget? And so that's a question, I suppose, for this group / the TOB. Are there any asks that you would like to put on the budget to request of the TM board to approve?
I'd like to see what the budget is, and then I can look at.
Then you can, yeah, I'm sure I can dig that up. I have that somewhere in my inbox.
I know I looked at it a couple of years ago, and we were still paying for some services that, as far as I know, we were no longer using. Like, I think we were still paying for Poll Approve at some point, and we stopped using Poll Approve a long time ago.
Poll Approve? Yeah, I don't think you're. That does not ring a bell. So let me actually just go grab OCI financials.
And just a friendly reminder that this is a recorded line, so you probably don't want to share the financials on this line.
Well, it's not particularly, maybe not if we were going to go in depth. I'm just confirming that we're not paying for the thing that at which we are definitely not.
The other thing is we can turn off recording if someone claims host, which I don't have the host code for this, but
I do. I'm pulling it up. Once I find it, I'll get that taken care of.
Yep.
Yeah, I will share this once stuff off just for your.
There it is. Knew I had it in one of these notes.
Yeah, looking at your, we're recording. Gotta wait for the voice to tell me you're not recording anymore.